Hello and welcome to Kindle University, where I show you tips and tricks to optimize your reading experience. Today we'll be learning how to use Kindle themes so that you can pick the font, size, boldness, line spacing, and margins to help you read as comfortably as possible. The Kindle does come preloaded with some presets, so when you're starting to build a new one, make sure that you're on the custom function so that as you make changes, you can save them later. Starting with fonts, we're going to pick the style of font, how bold we want it, and how big we want it. The Kindles come preloaded with maybe 8 to 12 fonts for you to choose from. If you know there's a style of font that you like to read with or one that you use often at work that helps you read faster, you can also download it from the internet and upload it to your Kindle. Before I learned how to download the other fonts, I was really into Amazon Ember for a while. Garamond is a font that I use on the computer a lot, but I actually don't love it on the Kindle. I'm quite fond of Bookerly. I believe this is the default font that most Kindles come programmed to use. It takes some trial and error to figure out your Kindle reading preferences. What I've learned about myself is that I like a font that's not too skinny, one that maybe has some serif but isn't overly embellished, and I also like when all of the letters seem to have the same thickness throughout. Others find it easier to read if letters are a little bit thicker on the bottom and thinner on the top, but for me, I find it kind of distracting. So play around with your different options and see what works best for you. Once you've chosen a style for your font, you can then adjust the size. I tend to like a smaller font unless I know that the Kindle is going to be further away from my face. You can also adjust how bold the font is, which is not something I typically do, but for this theme, I'm going to try out just a low-level boldness. Move over to the Layout tab where we can adjust the margins and spacing. This is what I find makes the biggest difference in how quickly and comfortably I read. Narrow margins mean you'll be turning the page less, but your eyes will be scanning left to right more frequently. My preference is to do less visual scanning, but to have to turn the page more often. For line spacing, you're going to want to consider how comfortable your eyes are jumping down the page from line to line. For some people, it's easier to read text when there is more space between the lines, but I find that I tend to get lost if I have to cover too much ground between the lines, so I like to have tighter spacing with the sentences closer together. There are two more really nice features in the More section that can be saved into your presets. The first helps you orient to where you are in your book. If I'm sitting down to read for a good long while, I generally like to know how much time is left in the book. Others prefer to know what page they're on in the book. I can't choose that option right now because the book I'm reading is an advanced copy. Generally, I don't find it too helpful. For this theme, I'm going with time left in chapter, so I know when my next natural stop point is coming up. It can be so easy to lose yourself in a book and completely lose track of time, so I love that there's a show clock while reading feature you can turn on. I don't know why this isn't a default setting on the Kindle, but I highly recommend turning it on. Once you're satisfied with how your page looks, go back to the main themes page and hit Save Current Theme. I think this particular composition of the page is going to be especially helpful when I'm trying to read with a headache, so I'm going to call it Migraine. That way I can easily find it when I'm thumbing through my different options while reading. That's really all there is to it. So once you save it, it will live in the Themes tab with all of the other custom themes you create. And if you find it doesn't work the way that you wanted it to, you can always make changes after. Come by during office hours to learn how to download custom fonts.